Hi everybody and welcome back to Rezu Learns AFK Journey. Second take. This time we're going to look at the wish list. And as I said in my last video, the first wish list that we're going to look at is the Lightbearers. So the Lightbearers are the topmost one, and we're going to have a look first at the S characters before we look at the A characters. So Lightbearers have the most characters in the game, but that is not really counting because they have hammy and the hamsters in it. Yeah, so they don't count because nobody builds those, because you cannot. But there's other characters which are quite interesting. So let's have a look at the characters available. So you see that I have a couple of them already built to Paragon 1, and if you've seen my first video, that is barely where I'm at. I'm currently at the edge between Paragon 1 and Paragon 2. If you are on the edge of Paragon 1, then you would probably go into different directions. So let's have a look at the different characters and their use. So first start with the ones that you should not push. So first off, there is Atalanta. Atalanta didn't push at all because there's limited use for her. She has a couple of interesting things like stuns and like this AoE damage, but it's all very underwhelming. That's basically why you don't see her at all. Yeah, so building it doesn't make sense, so you can safely ignore her. Then you have Timecia. Timecia has basically two uses. So the first one is in the tower, so these things that you progress through, or let's say, because I don't know what the English name of that thing is. So if you go to the different modes, you have here these trials here, so the legend trials. Okay, so here you will use her. Yeah, so you will also use her in AFK stages. And how do you use her? Well, let's have a look. So first I'm going to take this one and then show you one of the uses that you can do. So here I have one prepared. So I've got an Almas here, I've got an Iron, and I've got Timecia here and a healer, which happens to be Ludovic here. So here in that case, we're going to group everything up, and Timecia will make sure that everything stays put. So now let's have a look, because last time this didn't work out very well. So let's exchange, I need a wilder. Let's exchange, this here like that. So, and let's give it a try. So what you want to see happen, what you're going to see happening is that Iron here will basically group everybody up. Then Almas comes here and make sure they stay put. And after that, here Timecia will come and make sure that they really stay put, and Iron will basically keep them in place. And then all while Ludovic is healing and Parisa is hopefully pushing her damage into that group. So we also use that Frostfall here because it's giving a bit of haste and AoE damage, and this is an AoE setup. So okay, let's try it. Okay, let's go. So you see, okay, Iron pushes, then you have the R3 putting everybody down, and here goes the first boom, and then you see Timecia going back and forth. And that's essentially where you use her for, yeah, to make sure that everybody stays put. Now, if you put her to at least Mythic Plus, then you get her some extra ability that makes sure that this works a bit better. That's why if you're pushing AFK stages and you have a slot available, it makes sense to bring her to Mythic Plus. Should you bring her to Supreme Plus? Well, you see that we are already like halfway done, and there are enemies who are shielded and are not completely done, so that means that we probably won't make it. But let's see. If you would push Timecia to S+, that would look a bit different because she removes his physical damage from the opponent. So let's see if we can do it, but I mean, you get the picture where you use Timecia for. So now you won't do that in PvP. Yeah, so you won't do that in Dream Realm. So that is basically you do that in AFK stages. If you're able to pull that thing off in PvP, then your opponent did something wrong. Okay, so you see we lose, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah, you see also like Parisa has way more damage, and there's a bit of damage here on Timecia, but yeah. Okay, so come back to the wish list. So you see where you need Timecia for, but in the end, I would say you don't really need to invest into Timecia a lot unless you need her for AFK stages. I needed her last season, so that's why I have her to Mythic Plus, and then you get an automatic upgrade to S through Acorns. That's why she's S, but I actually want to bring her to M+. So then you have Cassidy here. Cassidy is a similar thing. So Cassidy is having a bit of value on some bosses because she can increase the speed of your teammates, and she has this wave, and combined with the correct buffs, she can do a lot of damage. There was a world boss where she really shined. I think it was the original Plague Creeper, so that lovely green blob. And I think she was in the top performing team. And that is basically the reason why I have her in S+. This season, I didn't use her at all. So you might be able to safely ignore her for now, unless you need her at some point. I don't know if you can actually buy her from the store. Let me check. So if you can, then if you need her, you can quickly get her. Let's see, do we have her? No, she's not here. No, you cannot buy her. So you would have to invest her through Wishlist. So yeah, if you have a slot free, which will happen, then you can do that. So when does it happen when you have a free slot? So let's say you have a couple of Paragon 1 characters and you progress and you're not yet at 15, so you cannot go for Paragon 2 yet. So in that case, you have these here maxed out, and there's a little max labeled beside it. In that case, you can probably put her in and try to push her a bit until you can go on to Paragon 2. That's the place where I would put her in if you really want to build her. For now, not. Rowan, I've got him on Paragon 1 because he's pretty versatile. You can use him in AFK stages in PvP, not so much in Dream Realm, because his main idea or his main purpose is to provide energy. So if you need a lot of energy at the beginning for bursting, he's brilliant. Yeah. So currently you can put him, for example, on the Celestial Hypogene tile, so where he will basically just do his ultimate very early on. This gives a lot of energy to people, and then your whole team will basically burst quickly. So that is the thing where you would use Rowan in PvP. In AFK stages, if you have very long stages, this can also help you to push ultimates more often. So for example, I use him in combination with Harak, so Harak can do his eating thing a bit more often. Besides that, I would say less interest. Yeah. So I would put him before Cassidy, but yeah, you can see if you want to push him. At some points in AFK stages, if you have him, you're pretty happy that you have him, but you don't really need him that hard. So also a character that I would put in if you have maxed out characters on these slots. Then comes Sonya. So Sonya is actually something that should be here, but I haven't because I want to push her first. And the reason is I want to push for PvP now and not for PvE. So if I would push for Dream Realm, it would look like that. Yeah, so I would put Sonya here. Sonya can be seen in a couple of Dream Realm setups because she is able to buff enemies. She provides, I think, attack and life to 2 units, so she can do a bit of extra damage, and that's also why you see her. So yeah, it makes sense to invest her, and it makes sense to put her in this slot and try to push her first. Why did I put Vala in here? Well, because I said I'm going to push for PvP, and that is the reason for that is like I'm already P1, I'm going towards P2, and the Paragon level makes most sense in Arena. So if you're pushing for Paragon 2, it makes sense to invest into PvP characters. And she is a PvP only character. So we had a situation where we could use her for the Glyph Shade, so the boss in the guild hall, because there was this place when this Glyph Shade boss was below 50%. If you put her in, she would stay in her melee form and do extra damage, and this was quite a lot. Yeah, so that's where we used her for bossing. But besides that, no, not even AFK stages. This is solo for PvP. Yeah, where she's a unit deleter. So you would probably combine her with what's her name? Here with Sylvina. Yeah, Sylvina. So you can provide her with Sylvina if you really want to get rid of a unit. Yeah, but this will basically only happen in PvP, nowhere else. Yeah, so if you're pushing for PvE, don't put her in. Yeah, so, and that is basically if you're not Paragon level, then yeah, leave her to the side when you have time or you like her. I had her in the first season, like already, I think, like on S or something. So yeah, for me, I'm just taking her with me. So for most people, it will look like that. And then we have Siren. Siren is a good character, very good character. Similar to Iron, he can group people and he will normally fill the gaps in between the Iron summonings. And that is probably why you also don't see Temesia that much anymore, yeah, because he does more damage than Temesia, and he fills a similar spot, yeah. So you will keep people grouped, and that is why he's used in AFK stages. You will also see him in PvP, and that is mainly because I think after Supreme Plus X10, so 3 stars in his X weapon, he will cancel the enemy artifact. Yeah, so for example, what you see in the AFK stages, which we had with this Frostfall thing, yeah, so this thing won't be active for, I think, like around 10 seconds, yeah? So that gives you an advantage in the beginning of the battle, especially in PvP where people build around this artifact. So you have certain artifacts which push a specific unit, and if you cancel that, okay, yeah, so no problem here at all. So that's why he's so valuable in PvP and AFK stages. Dream Realm, not so much, yeah? But he's a versatile character that you probably want to build. So, I said, like, he will probably act a bit like Temesia, so let's see how this looks like when we use him in this stage and not Temesia. So we can do that because Temesia is not in the wildest faction. So let's have that, and let's have a look how it looked like. So now we have an interesting combination. So let's see. Okay, we see the grouping again, then we see Almas, and we should see that they spread now a bit more because Temesia is not in here. You see them spreading, but now comes Siren, and here we are again. Good. So the difference thing here is you see that, yeah, we get a lot more damage. So Temesia actually does not only stun, really stuns the enemy, while he does not. So he just do grouping. So you saw that with Temesia, we could survive a lot longer, while he only did grouping. So if you do that, you need to make sure that you have a lot more tankiness around the enemy. Okay, but there are setups where you can do that, not in that one that I had right now. Okay, so Siren definitely makes sense. So if you say, okay, Siren is not for me because I want to go for more for PvE, should I do that? Well, yes, because you need him for AFK stages. And AFK stages are important to be early in the Dream Realm and so on. So it makes sense to have him. Okay, so now this was the S characters, and I think it's pretty clear because you essentially have only 3 characters to go through. So you have Vala, you have Sonya, and you have Siren. These are the ones that you want to push for, and then comes Rowan and Cassidy. Yeah, so that is essentially the thing that you should look for. Now, let's have a look at the A characters, because they have more, but it's a lot more simple, because all of those that you see below suck. So, essentially, these 2 on top are the ones that don't suck, and the rest is not good. Okay, so let's get through the stuff that you should not go for. Let's go for Valen. Valen looks good on paper, but is not. Yeah, so he dies quickly. His damage is not so much. He's bad to place. He's slow. No. So essentially, he would be good in PvP if he wasn't slow. He would be good in AFK stages if his damage wasn't so bad. So in the end, don't go for him. Then you have Walker. Walker is actually very cool because he can stun, but he is so slow. I mean, he even walks slow. Yeah, so you only see him in the tower trials, yeah, and that is the reason why I have him on M. But this is basically the only reason, because I was so pissed off with one of these stages that I pushed him a bit, but I don't use him at all, really not. Then you have Mirel, which I would really love to work, but she's just too slow. So, like, if you look for damage, like in DPS sense, yeah, so her ultimate does a lot of damage, yeah, and she's now level 2 ultimate, which is even better, but it takes ages for her to come up with that. So you need to put heist on her a lot, and for that she's just not good enough. So very sad, but no. Then you have Faye, which also looks good on paper, and I use her also for the towers a lot, but besides that, completely not, yeah, because there are better healers available, yeah, so I don't use it. I have pushed her a bit because of the tower, but that's it. So I also would like to have her working because I think like her buffs are pretty cool, but no, not really. Then you have Luca, which for some reason I have on M. I think I wanted him to work on PvP, but he does not really. Yeah, so he's pretty tanky and he's a good alternative to Lucius. So here. So if you don't have both pushed, I think I would probably go for Luca instead of Lucius nowadays, but they are both not that good. Yeah. With Lucius having the advantage of a bit of debuff and shielding. So yeah, currently I use him a bit more than Luca. But yeah, I think between the two is more a matter of taste than actually some benefit on that. So then you have Mary Lee, which is interesting. Mary Lee was used a lot in Dream Realm, but this season I saw her once. But yeah, I think she might have a comeback at some point, but currently you don't really need her. In PvP, I have not seen it at all. Yeah, so yeah, Mary Lee is basically uninteresting nowadays. So she used to be, so she might have a comeback, but currently not. And then similar things for Corrin. Corrin is actually a good character because he provides shields, but I haven't seen him in any boss setup lately. So he was used in boss setups, but I haven't seen him in PvP at all. I don't see him in AFK stages at all. Dream Realm, not at all. So currently, also not really in use. So that leaves us with the two ones that are on top, which are Sindbad. And Sindbad is now used in Dream Realm a lot, probably because of his seasonal charms, because I've read somewhere that seasonal charms are so good that he does a lot of damage. I didn't check on that, to be honest, but he currently makes a lot of damage. So maybe next season too, but don't be surprised if he vanishes. Yeah, but he has the benefit of providing debuffs and decent amount of damage currently. So yeah, you should build him. The second thing is Eugen, and Eugen I've seen in to be used instead of Rainier, which is good because you might not have built Rainier yet. He provides shielding, but the only problem is that he's super static. Yeah, so for example, he has this little wheel behind him, and you need a unit to stay in that wheel for that wheel to have effect. And there is very few units who stay there. Yeah, for example, Floribel does that. She stays there. Yeah, Chimera, I tried, she does not. She just walks out of that. Yeah, Parisa also stays, but I think that's more or less it. So there is not so many characters that stay within Eugen's range, but still he provides decent shielding and some buffs. So yeah, he has his point also in AFK stages. PvP, I've also seen him sometimes. So yeah, he has his use. So that's essentially it. So these were the Lightbearers. So if you want to have something built, then it's probably this list that you see up here. So Sonya, Siren, Sindbad, and Eugen. So this is the one that you want to use for Lightbearers. So this is it for this session. So, and let's see you for the next video where we're going to look at the Wilders. Is it Wilders? No, it's Maulers. Ah, stupid naming. See you next time.